Hello, Mark Chigani, and this is Straight Talk. With me today is Felix Cheung. Felix Cheung, you are the leader of the Liberal Party, a pro-establishment party, and you're also a legislative councillor. Now, the opposition has decided to remain in the extended LegCo. They did a polling, and it was inconclusive, but then they decided that they want to stay. Let's see what they have to say.
We still have altogether 21 members. Definitely, we can have some way to delay, to defer the bad move coming from the government.
Now that was Wu Chi-wai. He's the head of the Democratic Party, and he said, you know, they still have enough members to stop bad moves or bad policies by the government. They actually don't have enough members to block anything, do they?
Well, now they have around 21 people.
He
from
said 21,
the, yeah,
right?
21 people from the pandemic side. They've been doing that in the last 3-4 years, stopping some sort of policy from the government. I think when they come back, they keep doing that. There's no particular excitement about that.
But they had far more members before. Now some have been disqualified, and this time 3 have decided not to rejoin the LegCo, right? So their numbers have dropped. And the pro-establishment side, which you belong to, you have over 40 in LegCo.
Now it's
right?
41.
Yeah, right, you got 41. Now, then it's going to become a rubber stamp LegCo. Is that good for Hong Kong? That you can pass anything you want?
Well, I don't agree that is a rubber stamp LegCo. In the last 3-4 years, we still have the majority of the member in the LegCo. From the beginning, the pro-establishments got 40 people, and the pandemic got 30. Now, of course, they got 21 and we got 41.
Yeah, exactly. So therefore, you can bulldoze anything you want through LegCo.
I cannot say it's bulldoze. I mean, we will certainly discuss everything in a rational way. Of course, the government may not given out all the things in a proper way, I would say. But still, we will do a proper scrutinizing and negotiating with the government in the right way.
You don't negotiate with the government. When the government says they want something passed, the pro-establishment party will always pass it. You never oppose anything the government wants.
But we do amendment.
Yeah, but you still follow the government's policies, right? It's only the pan-democrats that oppose some of them.
No, put it this way. If we are a pro-establishment member, we certainly believe that whatever proposed by the government is good for Hong Kong. Whether
everything that the government proposes is good for Hong Kong? Is that what you're saying?
Most of that, I believe that.
Was it the extradition bill was not good for Hong Kong? Look what happened.
That's why Liberal Party objected and make a lot of amendments and have a lot of negotiation with the government. And the government did make several amendments on the extradition bill.
Now, a lot of the pro-establishment members did not want the Democrats to rejoin LegCo. Did you want them to rejoin LegCo?
Well, certainly I want them to come back. Because as a proper LegCo legislative council, we need different type of voices and views. No matter it's good for the government or bad for the government, the pro-establishment side representing certain part of the people from the community, same as the pandemic people. So the pandemic people represent around 60% of the community people. I mean, they should come back and raise their voice.
Well, one of the reasons why they said they came back, Felix, was that there has been a lot of suggestions from the establishment camp that Hong Kong people who have actually moved out of Hong Kong to live in the Greater Bay Area should be allowed to vote in the Greater Bay Area, not come back to Hong Kong to vote in elections, but actually cast their votes there. Is that a good policy?
No, I think the government is going to propose something like this in the coming.
Do you agree with that?
Well, we have to look at the detail of the bill first. Well, for example, in the United States, I mean, they also allow people to vote by mailing.
I know, but then
So, I mean, this is not something strange.
it's not, but it is strange according to the basic law, because the basic law says you have to be ordinarily resident in Hong Kong and you have to vote here. It doesn't say you can vote abroad.
Well, again, let's see the details of that particular bill first. We haven't had any flame from the table.
Do you
yet.
support that?
Again, have to have a look of that.
Okay,
first.
then
Right.
if you have a look, if you say it's not unusual because the U.S. does it, then in that case, if Hong Kong residents who have moved to live in the Greater Bay Area, they are not ordinarily resident in Hong Kong, but the basic law says that they must be. They're not. Yet if there is a bill that allows them to vote if they live in the Greater Bay Area, why should not that bill include Hong Kong people who have moved to Canada, to Australia, to the United States?
Well,
Then they should also have the same right.
logically, you're correct. So again, let's see what is the detail of the bill. I mean, we haven't had anything on the table. I cannot comment that in that way. And of course, if it's not according to the basic law, I believe that somebody will challenge the bill. Even the bill passed, they might go for judicial review. I mean, there are so many ways.
But doesn't the bill violate the basic law? I read the basic law. It says you have to vote here
Come on, Michael.
in Hong Kong.
Come on, Michael. Let's see the real bill first. Okay, we cannot comment on something.
Whichever way you look at it, the
cannot
bill-
comment on something we haven't had the chance to
I
read it
understand
first.
that, but whichever
Right.
way you
So if
look,
you understand that, please let
No, then you-
let the government propose the bill first.
then you have to change the basic law.
It's
But
not
the basic
necessary.
law states very clearly you have to be ordinarily resident in
I
Hong
think
Kong,
it's
and you must
much
vote here.
easier to change the bill rather than basic law. I mean, so far, when Hong Kong go back to China, for 23 years, we haven't had any chance to change the basic law. It's much easier to change the bill or forget the bill. Much easier
Why
in that
does
way.
the opposition, why does the pro-establishment camp want Greater Bay Area people to vote?
Well, what I understand is there are about 500 million of the Hong Kong people live in the Greater Bay Area. And for example, in this particular time, because of the virus situation, they just cannot come back.
No, many
To
of them have
vote.
moved there permanently. They live there
I don't know.
permanently.
I mean, I haven't have the figures. Have to ask the immigration department for that. I cannot answer you this.
But can you have enough faith that an election that is held in the Greater Bay Area on mainland China, where there are no elections, no democratic elections, that it can be properly monitored and make sure that there isn't going to be any cheating?
Well, certainly we will not accept the chance to get cheat. So if we see the actual bill proposed by the government, that if we think that there's any chance that for somebody to cheat that, certainly we will object that, we will veto that, all right? Because it cannot be a fair elections.
Now, moving on, you have 41 votes in LegCo. Technically speaking, if the government puts forward Article 23 national security legislation, which is the duty of Hong Kong to do, it's in the basic law, and some people suggested that you could use this extended LegCo to put that through, and it'll get passed because you have enough votes. Would you vote for it?
No, I don't think we have enough time to do that.
Enough time?
For this coming year. We don't have enough time to do that. Honestly, there is a side effect from this sudden extension of additional year for the 6th term of the LegCo. Well, because, before we knew that there was extensions, we were supposed to end the sixth term of LegCo in the middle of July.
Correct.
And everything is dissolved. All the bill committee are dismissed. So everybody actually was preparing for the new elections, the sudden election, but suddenly because of the virus situation, it was stopped. And now the central government have made a decision to extend it for at least 1 year. So if we start from next week, then everything have to start again, because all the bills committee, everything was dissolved.
So there's not enough time to get
There was
Article
not
23.
enough time to do anything, actually.
Now, the thing is, you said that when government puts policies through, most of the establishment camp people will vote for it. Are you worried that if it becomes or appears to be like a rubber stamp LegCo, that people like you in the establishment camp will be hurt when there is another election next September?
Well, if the pro-establishment camp really act like a rubber stamp, certainly if there is an election next year, I mean, we will not get too much support.
Okay, I've got to take a quick break. See you soon. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us. This is Straight Talk. With me is Felix Cheung. Felix Cheung, you're the leader of the Liberal Party and a LegCo member. You represent the trade sector, right, in LegCo. Now, I was just asking you, you said there's not enough time in this LegCo to do Article 23. That means there isn't going to be enough time in this LegCo to do anything, because it's only extended for 1 year. You said everything else has already been nullified, right? So every bill that goes in starts from scratch, starts from the beginning, right?
Yes.
And you've got 1 year to get these things through. And then if you cannot, then it all goes down the drain.
Yes.
And there are elections and you've got to start again.
Yes.
Then what was the point of extending it for 1 year? If this year is going to be something that is a LegCo that is non-functional because nothing can be achieved.
Well, the extension was due to the virus situation.
I know, but
right?
then
But as I said, then there's a side effect of extending this additional year. Then it will have given the government some bad time, because they just do not have sufficient time to let the LegCo members to pass anything. This is technical thing, nothing to do with the government, nothing to do with the legis member.
So you're saying that this LegCo year, not much can be achieved?
No.
But
Well, let me explain how technically how it works.
Mm-hmm.
All right, give me some time. So as I explained earlier, we end in the middle of July. Everything is dissolved. So we were supposed to have the elections, but suddenly the election was called off, and then we have these extensions. So we start from middle of October again. But because everything was dissolved in July, we have to start everything again. We have to reform the new House Committee, all the different panels, and re-elect the chairman of different panels, different bill committee. Everything starts from the beginnings. So we have only 9 months to go. When we go to July next year, it's the end of the term again. So then everything has to dissolve again.
So then the voting in the Greater Bay Area theoretically cannot pass.
I don't know. That's really, well, it's not easy, because I think it's not, we do not have sufficient time. And that really depends on when the government is going to propose the bill to LegCo. All right. So, I mean, there's only 7 months to go. So technically, we don't have enough time.
So now, there are a lot of establishment people saying rush through a lot of bills, including this one. Are you worried that if you do try and focus on this one and it is rushed through, that when the elections come around next year, the establishment camp will suffer a defeat like it did during the district council elections last November.
Well, honestly speaking, if the atmosphere in Hong Kong remained the same 1 year after, I think there's when the elections come again, I mean, the pro-establishment will not take any advantages at all.
You think you will suffer?
I don't know, because there's so many things changes every week. So I cannot predict what will happen.
When you say no
later.
advantage, you mean if the atmosphere remains the same, the establishment camp will be at a disadvantage?
Yes.
Okay, now moving on, a disadvantage because the people of Hong Kong don't support your policies, or the way you've behaved, or the way you've supported the national security law.
My behavior or the government behavior?
The establishment camp behavior, which supports the government.
Well, again, I mean, the pro-establishment, theoretically, we should support the government, especially have the things for the benefit of Hong Kong. Of course, a lot of people have a lot of argument on the national security law. But you can see, I mean, after the national security law imposed, the Hong Kong society became a lot more peaceful, quiet.
I want to pick up on that later on, but I just want to ask you this. You were told by the Foreign Ministry not to meet with the American Consul General. You're not a government official. You're the leader of a political party. What right do they have to tell you not to meet with somebody?
Right.
You're a private citizen.
Put it this way, when the General Counsel of the United States sent me an invitations, in the past, there's no need for me to inform anybody, just go and see him.
Yeah, why
right?
did you inform the...
Because there was a sanction or some sort of restrictions imposed by the American government, the Department of State of America, to the Chinese diplomatic officials in the United States.
It didn't involve political parties.
And there is a reciprocal or retaliate.
Sure, they're retaliating.
From the Chinese government to U.S. government
But the US,
on the diplomats in Hong Kong too.
I know, but the U.S. government only restricted government officials, right?
Well,
not
actually,
political parties.
No, actually, I do not know the details.
Do you think...
Is it just the government officials or any political related people?
American politicians are allowed to see the Chinese ambassador if they want to in the U.S. They don't have to seek government approval.
They need to get applications.
No.
Well, I mean, have the U.S. Consul General need to see somebody, especially, of course, the government officials. They have to make an applications to the Foreign Affairs
point
Office.
I'm making is, when the U.S. imposes restriction, it only applied to Chinese diplomats in the U.S. not being able to see government officials unless they apply for permission. But it didn't say that the Chinese diplomats cannot see members of Congress. You're a member of the Legislative Council, so you should be able to see the American Consul General, right?
Put it this way, I'm playing in the safe side, all right?
So you're not sure whether you can, so you're playing safe.
Of course, I mean, I do not have the chance to see all the diplomatic documents.
Okay.
I don't know whether, I mean, I should be able to allow to see the American Consul General. I mean, it's better to ask, and the reply is not appropriate at this time.
And so you decided not to see.
So decide not to go.
Okay.
I mean,
you say play safe. Your chairman of the Liberal Party was here a couple of weeks ago.
mm-hmm.
And I asked him whether, Regina Yip was here, and she said that she's worried that if she supports things like Article 23, that she could be sanctioned, because she's an EXCO member and a LegCo member. If she passes Article 23, she could be sanctioned. So she's diversifying her assets. Tommy Cheung, your chairman of your party, said that his wife and his kids cannot even easily open a bank account. Now, you also are part of the pro-establishment camp. Are you worried that if you support things that, like Article 23, which I know you do, that you would face problems too?
No. I mean, they may have they may have presented in a different way or have some misunderstanding to the public. For a politician like us, we already have difficulty to open bank accounts.
Do you have difficulties?
Long time ago. I mean, of course, I can open bank account. My company can open an account,
children,
but that might take a longer time.
Your wife
Usually,
and kids?
yes. The bank usually will take a longer time to do all the due diligence or the checking and everything.
Is that affecting your wife and kids? Tommy Cheung says it's affecting his wife and kids.
Well, so far, my wife and my kids have no problem with that. And we don't need to open a new account for a long time. So I don't know if I apply for to open a bank account now, will that be taking a longer time, or will get rejection or whatever? I don't know. But that's been happening long time, years ago.
Okay.
That politicians or political related person have this sort of long checking.
Okay, I've got 1 minute. Now, Felix, you said that the national security law has brought back normalcy to Hong Kong. How can that be like when October the 1st, people were out there shopping, some people were shouting slogans peacefully. There was no black-clad protests or anything like that. And you say, and then they were being arrested, and ID cards were checked. Over 80 people were arrested. That's not the normal Hong Kong.
Well, I think the national security law itself has no problem with that because it's only targeting on 4 different categories.
Sure, we know the 4 categories.
We only worry about how it is going to implement and how the enforcement is.
Is the police implementing it correctly or overstepping?
Well, put it this way, we have some example. I mean, the police was several cases, arrested cases. The police was trying to use the national security law to arrest people, but finally they couldn't use it. They have to use another law to do it. That's why, I mean, they have to make people understand what actually the national security law is.
Okay, I've got 20 seconds. Are they improperly using the national security law in some ways?
I think there are other legislations that they can use rather than just one national security law.
So they're overstepping. They're using it. They're using the national security law improperly.
Which a lot of the Hong Kong citizens do not understand why they're using the national security law to arrest people.
Okay, thank you. See you next time. Good evening.